Well, go ahead. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me, Alicia?
I hear you, yes.
All right, awesome. Wanted to make sure.
All right. And I just hit in the room.
Awesome, awesome. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I want to say welcome to Hey Sis, Show Up for You. You are in the Intentional Success Tribe. So, with that being said, on Clubhouse, you're in the Intentional Success Tribe. And the Intentional Success Tribe is a place where small business owners and entrepreneurs gather to connect with one another and build community. So, it's the collaboration container for the Success Tribe VIPs created by the amazing Deanna Jean. So, with that being said, if you're not a part of the Intentional Success Tribe on Clubhouse, go ahead and click the greenhouse above. And then I will be posting a link shortly so that you can also be in tune and in touch with the Intentional Success Tribe on Facebook. So I want to say good morning, everyone. Good morning on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Good morning on Clubhouse. You are tuning in to Hey Sis, Show Up for You. So, with that being said, I want to introduce our first and our amazing, lovely speaker, the amazing Alicia Richardson. You guys, she goes by these amazing three phenomenal values: love yourself, love your family, and love your life. And she is all about encouraging Christian busy moms to step outside of the box and into pursuing their passion. So, with that being said, I want to introduce to some and reintroduce to others the amazing Alicia Richardson. And with that being said, I'm going to do a brief introduction for myself. If you don't know, I am Jasmine Porter. I go by three titles. I have many titles, but the three that resonate with me are Gift from God, Godpreneur, and Business Strategy Consultant. So, with that being said, I help new and established entrepreneurs and professionals literally build sustaining blueprints that lead to intentional expansion. And I do this all while strengthening the longevity of your legacy while prioritizing radical holistic healing. So, with that being said, I welcome you. I am Jasmine Porter. I'm a gift from God, and I believe that you are too. So, with that being said, Alicia, go ahead and take the floor and kick us off for Hey Sis, Show Up for You.
Good morning, everybody. I am so excited that you all decided to come. Jasmine, how are you? Jasmine's doing her happy dance for those who can't see her on Clubhouse. I'm super excited. Um, all this week we're going to be talking about joy, and we are going to be building your passion or setting your joy on fire, right? So right now you might not feel like that joy fire has been blooming and pushing through, but this week we are going to get it to happen. You are going to leap, jump out of the bed, right into your purpose, right into the day, right into your roles, right into whatever you want to do for this entire week and beyond. Today is the first day or the beginning of everything, right? Today, you get to make the decision to have joy. You get to make the decision to live in joy, in peace. Right now, it's the season. So with that being said, again, we are focusing on joy this week. Let me get my banner up here on Facebook. Get your joy back, day 2. And so now this week, I want to focus on like the loss, like that we talked about the loss of joy yesterday. But I want to focus on the the what that means to actually like lose your joy, okay? And so what it means when you have lost your joy, it means that you are in an extended period of mourning, okay? And so you're mourning, it could be mourning a loss of something. It doesn't even have to be a person. It could be mourning the loss of your passion, the loss of your purpose, the loss of being lost in all of your many roles as a woman. It could be mourning just like different deficits that you might be focusing on in your life right now. And so as I did like my studying, I realized that your losses, I hope that's the word, your losses are are in two areas that I want to focus on. It's your spirit and your soul, right? So your spirit, I want to focus there first. Your spirit is, we already know, we are spirits, okay? And we have a soul, and it is all encompassed inside of this time capsule that we call a body, okay? And so, with our spirit, if we are mourning, and I have to break this down because we have to begin to pinpoint where we lost our joy or why our joy is not showing up the way we want it to show up. And the whole thing, it's important to understand, this joy and get to this place of joy, because not all the time our environments and in the places we place ourselves, things are not always going to be happy occasions. Things are not always going to be going our way. So the purpose of the joy is that you are able to stay, consistent. You are able to stay stable within an environment that is not necessarily conducive to your spirit in your soul. Okay. And I say this because I know, like, in my house, like, sometimes my husband could be acting up, my kids can be acting up, but I can't just leave that. You know what I mean? Like, those are things that are forever. So I have to make sure that my joy is right. I got to make sure that I am stable within myself. Okay. So let's go back. So the spirit, right? Understanding that, if one of the things that we could be mourning with is within our spirit. And a lot of times, if we are not feeling our spirit, if we are not paying attention to our spirit, then our spirit begins to cry out for more, right? And the way that we begin to feel our spirit is by connecting back to our source, connecting back to God, connecting and making sure that we build that relationship with Him. And I like to give an example of a relationship with a friend. Okay. So if you go long periods of time without talking to a friend, then that relationship begins to dwindle out, and it becomes harder to manage, and you begin to lose that sense of I don't know, like, pride or happiness with that friend. So it's the same with your spirit. If you're not connecting back to the source, if you're not connecting back to God, then you're going to begin to let that relationship, like, dwindle down. And then the next part is the soul, right? So when we begin to lose our if we're mourning within our soul, and our soul is created or made up of our mind, our will, and our emotions. So if we are mourning within our soul, and we've lost our joy within our soul, that means that we have either been constantly denying ourselves of something that we really, really want, but we keep putting it on the back burner. Or we're not walking in our purpose. We have not completely defined our purpose. And so our soul is crying out. And that actually connects back to the spirit as well. And then also, uh, oh Lord, I always be forgetting. Okay. And also, maybe we are not speaking up enough for ourselves. And we are settling for things that we truly don't want. But it's like, well, can it get any better? All right. So these are reasons we begin to lose our joy. Um, and so my question to you is, how do you plan on, not even plan, where have you lost your joy? Okay. And I can share with you, like, different, well, I'm not even going to go there. I want to ask you that. Where have you lost your joy? Is it in that atmosphere or realm of your spirit, man? Or is it within your soul? Have you been denying yourself of something that God is clearly telling you to go after? Okay. And so, Jasmine, before we move on, I want to pass this on to you to let you share what's on your mind.
Sorry, you caught me right in the middle of jogging, writing out my thoughts. So this topic is deep, you guys, because I think when Alicia was talking, one of the things that God started bringing to my remembrance is when I went on my first spiritual journey. And I struggled. One of the things I had the biggest struggle with when it came to joy, happiness, and all of those things is that I had dissonance between my soul and my spirit. My spirit wanted to, be free, wanted to like live life abundantly, and wanted to connect to my higher self. But my soul was so busy stuck in the emotions of the things that I could see and that were tangible to me. So those two were in dissonance, but even then my life was having a moment as well. So this is one of the things that when Alicia was talking, ways you can identify if your spirit is mourning, right? So your spirit is your familiarity, your relationship with you, yourself, and with God. So how familiar are you with your not who your human experience? How familiar are you with your spirit? How familiar are you with your life purpose, your intentions? Are you searching for yourself? And how familiar are you with what God has said about you and your relationship with Him? So when you have an absence of those two, your spirit is automatically mourning. And most of us don't actually see it because like it doesn't show up as like, it sometimes it may show up as a physical cry. But for many of us, when the spirit is mourning, it shows up as a searching for ourselves, searching for joy, searching for validation, searching for love in external things. We start looking for different things. So that's one way you can tell if your spirit is mourning, right? If you're constantly looking for other things to try to fill a gap and a void that's inside of you, that's when you can tell that your spirit is grieving, because there's a distraction and there's a disconnection from yourself and from God. So one of the ways to start pulling your joy back is to start getting familiar with yourself. Get familiar with your dreams, your passions. Who are you? What is it that you want? What is it that you desire in life? Because the thing is, we all know we desire something. We all want to create impact. We all, if I wanted to take it down to the bare minimum, the simplistic nature of all humankind, we all want to enjoy life. We want freedom. We want security. We want peace. We want joy. All of those things are spiritual first before they ever manifest into our reality. They're all spiritual concepts. They're internal. And when I say spiritual, people take it long for. They're all internal concepts. They're concepts that happen in the soul and in your spirit. So that's a way that you can actually see, like, if you need to, like, we're identifying places where you have lost joy. So if you lost joy in your spirit, that may be one way that it shows up, is you searching externally for ways to fill voids that are internal. And that's joy, that's love, that's peace, that's validation, that's anything. So I'm going to go down a little bit further, right? When we start talking about the spirit, a lot of times we put our spirit, we put our purpose, we put ourselves in this constriction of titles. So for me, when I went on my first spiritual journey, and even when I'm on this journey right now, of like stepping into higher consciousness and just loving myself and loving God, like the one thing God, like he took me through is a stripping of all titles. Everything that I said that I was, he said, scratch that off, take that off, because if your joy is in a title or in a thing that you have obtained, then it's not real. It's artificial. Like your joy is basically, like, joy is basically a foundation or a principle of who you are. It's not about what you obtain. It's not about what you come into. So like, because for many of us, when we go through this process of stepping into your higher self, finding your purpose, finding your voice, speaking out, shouting, we get so grieved by the loss of things that we thought made us who we were, because we're holding on to false narratives and false titles. But when you release yourself and you give yourself the grace and the joy to say, it's not that's not a piece of you. It's not that you can't use that, but it's just that at the core, that's not who you are. That is just a piece and a role that you play in life. We play many roles. So like, think of it this way. When you came into the world, you came into the world as a child. That's factual. I don't think nobody had to argue that, right? You came in this world as a child. You came in this world as a spirit. You're the spirit inside of a body. You may not have known you was a spirit, but that's what you are. Your spirit is comprised of your mind, your will, your emotions. Your higher consciousness is your spirit, but your soul is comprised of your mind, your will, and your emotions. So for many people, we came in like that's what you came in with. You didn't come in as a mother. You didn't come in as a daughter. You didn't come in as a business strategy consultant, a professional, or any of that. You came in as a child. You came in as a gift to someone else, a gift to others in the world. So when you break that concept down, as we get older, we start putting titles on ourselves. Like I can only be this. I can only be a mom. I can only be a daughter. I can only be that. I can only like when you do that, 9 times out of 10, what we find ourselves doing at some point in our life is getting grieved by the idea and the concept that, hey, this is not all that I was. And if this is, this life sucks. We all go back to it. I want you to reflect in the time of your life where you put yourself in one title and then immediately you got frustrated because you're like, I'm bigger than this. And the truth is you are bigger than this. So if you're dealing with putting titles upon yourself, that is something that also can cause you to lose joy in the spirit and in the soul realm because you are so much bigger, so much powerful, so much complex than that. So I'm a pass it back to Alicia because I think I broke it down. But hold on, wait. I'm sorry, Alicia. The other thing, so I broke it down: spirit, soul, and now we're gonna talk about body. So losing joy in your body, like it looks like you always having to magnifying the problem, always looking stressed, always sad, always there's never enough, there's always lack. Because the thing is, when you understand that you are spirit first, you understand that you are limitless. You understand that everything, because everything in this world has a spiritual tone, a spiritual concept to it. Even, and this is the thing, even if you don't want to recognize and acknowledge spiritual laws, they're all written about. They might not say spiritual laws because the thing is, when you use certain language, it turns people off. So it might be like the law of attraction, or it might be like getting good things. It might be like karma. It's all talking about the same thing. They're spiritual concepts, but the thing is, even if you believe in them or not, they're still operating. So the idea and the concept of it being like losing joy in the body looks like you grieving. It looks like you're crying. It looks like you having different pains and symptoms that show up in your body. So to release yourself from that, the one way to release yourself and get out of that is to be conscious with yourself, to spend time with yourself. And when you're spending time with yourself, you're automatically spending time with God. Automatically. So with that being said, I'm gonna close my mic and then I'm gonna pass it back to Alicia.
Facebook. All right. So you just brought up so much for me. And you took me back. You made me remember, the moment of that joy for me, that moment of standing up for myself outside of my titles. All right. So the story goes like this. We were now I you guys are I think everybody already knows about like my son, right? Born under a pound at 27 weeks gestation, in and out of the hospitals, right? So we finally had got his health under control. We finally had gotten his like everything like to a stable place of where we were not like spending weeks at the hospital, days in, days out at the hospital. But then like we went, I'm thinking I'm doing like great as a mother. Like I think I'm killing it. And so we go to one of his follow-up appointments and the doctors are or his specialists actually are just like, mom, I know you said you did all of this, but it's still not good enough. And I think that he needs to spend some more time in the hospital. Now, these are specialists telling me this. These have been the same specialists that have been walking with him since the day he was born, right? So I don't know. It was just something in me that clicked. And I don't know what it was. And I thank God that it all worked out. But I said, no. I said, we're not going into the hospital. I said, I'm not doing this. This is not my life. This is not what we're doing. I don't know where, I don't know what is happening inside of me, but I refuse to be overcome by, this life of, just I don't know, just really outside of hospitals. I don't want to say like dealing with a sick child because that just sounds horrible. But it was just something inside of me that just said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And so what it was, so when I actually sat back and thought about it, what it was as every time I went into the hospital, it's scary. I never knew if my son was going to come out. I never knew if they were going to come up with a new diagnosis. I never knew any of that. But I lived in that fear. But then something clicked in me and said, no, we are coming out of this. So I took my son home and I said, Caden, you are more than this. You are a fighter. You can get through this. And then once I did that, then I said, Alicia, I turned on myself. I said, Alicia, I said, this is not your life. You are called to do more. You are not called to sit in hospitals all day long. You are not called to be sitting in therapy sessions all day long. And then something in me in that day, it snapped me and it said, okay, where is your joy? Because when I tell y'all, I was losing myself. I was losing myself in everything that it encompassed my son. But not only that, another part that I don't share when I share this story is my husband is still going on deployments. My husband is still active duty. And on top of that, I still have another child who wants his mother's affection. Where does my rest come in? Where does my sleep come in? Where does Alicia come in all of these pieces of the puzzle? In all of my roles, where does Alicia come in? So then God told me, Alicia, you are not your roles. You need to step outside of your roles. You are simply managing these responsibilities. And when you can begin to see that these are your responsibilities, and eventually these things will begin to grow up and be managing their own selves, then you can begin to release the control on it. Because that was another thing. I felt so out of control because I was trying to hold on to control. I'm trying to hold on to things that, I didn't need to hold on to. Like trying to, just make everything just be right. Everything just needs to be right. But at the end of the day, I begin to burn out. Like I end up, and I think I shared this yesterday, that what ended up happening through all of this is I ended up on a couch and I could not move. I could not do my daily task for myself. I could not shower. I could not get up and brush my teeth. I wanted to talk to nobody. I could barely care for my kids. Like, I don't know if y'all get that. Like, I got to a place where my joy was so gone and so burnt out that I had no room, no space for nothing. Okay. And so what that really showed me was that that's not where my joy lies. My children is not where my joy lies. And I know a lot of people say, I get a lot of joy from my children. That's beautiful. But that's not where your joy lies. Your joy lies within yourself. You have to begin to become selfish for yourself. And I use the word selfish because a lot of people say, well, I don't know how to do that. The only concept I can give you is be selfish. Like, if you can be selfish but still care about everyone else around you, but you're still putting yourself first, that's the concept that I want you to get. I want you to begin to feed your soul, begin to feed your spirit, begin to feed your relationship with you and God. And then everything else behind that begins to fall in line. All right. And I share that all the time because here on this platform, one of the things that we do is we get you to care about who you are and dive deep into who you are and to understand and believe in whose you are, right? That is the whole goal, no matter what topic we talk about. And so I like Jasmine, you just like brought me back to that portion, but I do want to go and talk about like these external, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier about how the external versions of all the things that we can do, right? Going to go get our nails done, taking vacations, going to do all of these things. Like, we try to do those things to fix what is missing, like in order to not get to the root. But fixing those external things, as far as like going on vacation when you feel burnt out and all those things, that's not going to help bring your joy back. It's really not. All that's going to do is just give you a moment of time of happiness, right? And so actually going back and understanding and building that relationship with God, and like what Jasmine said, is getting to know and becoming, I like that you use become familiar with yourself, because when you become familiar with something, you become comfortable with it. And a lot of times we can't even sit by ourselves. A lot of times we can't even sit in the quiet and just be and gain self-awareness of ourselves, right? So becoming familiar with yourself. I think a lot of people use the word, we don't want them to become so familiar, but we do need to become familiar with who we are. Because when you become familiar with yourself, you begin to see things in yourself that everybody else could see, but you couldn't see. You begin to see things that you felt, rejected about. You begin to bring power to those things. There are times in my life people would say things about me that I really didn't understand, and I took it like badly. However, God had to show me, like, no, that's your superpower. Like that's like that is your superpower, right? So getting familiar with yourself. So Jasmine, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back to you. That's what I had to say. And what do you have to like build on that?
Yes. So I think, okay. So I want to go back and double back to when you said selfish. So I used to have a friend, and she would always tell me, she'd be like, Jasmine, you always trying to take care of everybody else. You always trying to do everything for everybody else, but you can't pour from an empty cup. The more you keep pouring from an empty cup, you always gonna be you're never gonna be. You're always gonna see yourself as in a deficit. You're always gonna see yourself without joy. You're always gonna see yourself falling by the wayside because you're trying to be a martyr for everyone else instead of actually living the life that was designed for you. And I used to just, brush her off and stuff like that. But I actually get what she said. Like the thing about, like, we always say selfish is a bad thing. It's not that, like, selfish is not a bad thing. It's to be within yourself, to care about yourself, to value yourself. Like, if you think about it this way, if you become familiar with yourself, if you become familiar with all the little quirky parts of you, things that that happened to you in the past, things that you desire in the future, things that you want to deal with now. Like, imagine how strong and how powerful you would be. There wouldn't be no need to search out or seek out external validation because everything is found inside of you. Now, I'm not gonna knock you. Sis, you want to get your hair and your nails done? I do mine. I get my hair, I get my nails done, I go get my wax, whatever it is. I'm gonna make sure I'm pampered. But with that being said, like, all of those things, I would do those things and feel miserable inside. I would get a brief moment of feeling that emotion of like, I'm super happy, I'm so glad I'm taken care of. But then my mind would go uh, back to the worry, back to the doubt, back to me searching for like it goes back to the motive and the intent of why are you doing the thing. So when it came down to it, you can do all all the extra stuff, right? All the stuff that looks good for other people and looks good for yourself. But the truth of the matter is, what is really going on inside of you? Because you can get all that stuff done, look in the mirror, and still feel like you're ugly, still feel like you're not worthy, still feel like your life is going nowhere. And it only makes you more stressed out, because then you're like, well, I just did all of this to look pretty and stuff, but I feel ugly inside. Like, I don't want to do nothing. So, like, it really goes back to, what are you prioritizing? It's okay to be selfish. It's okay to focus on yourself. Like, that's the whole purpose of life, is literally, it's your life. You have ownership of it. You have ownership of it. You have ownership of it. Everything in it is a choice. Everything in it is a choice. You have power. I don't know where we get this whole, like, I know where we get it. It's programming, it's conditioning, it's experiences within life. But if anything you take from today, understand that you have power. If you have power to identify where your joy was given, where your joy was lost. You have power to reclaim, to take back your joy. You have power to increase your joy. You have power to do everything right now that you want to do in your life. Identify it, set your mind to it, set intention on it. Like, literally, when people say pray, when you're praying about something, you're literally you're magnifying it. You're becoming familiar with your prayers, familiar with yourself. So when you're praying, if you're praying in a deficit, you're going to magnify the fact you're in lack. But if you're praying affirmation, if you're praying and you're saying, I already have this is already in me, this is already around me, 9 times you're increasing what's already in your atmosphere. So know that you have power. You are powerful beyond measure. Powerful. Not powerful. Like drop the narrative. Drop the narrative of what people told you you're powerless. Drop the narrative of people just saying life happens to you. Drop the narrative of, you can't control or change anything. Because I guarantee you, if you look at the power that's inside of you, if you understood how powerful you are, if you took measures to sit and stand with yourself, you will understand that you are powerful beyond measure. Powerful to change the things around you, powerful to change the things inside of you. You don't have to live by your old narrative. You don't have to live by your trauma. You don't have to live by the things that people told you. You can create everything, anything that you want. But that first comes with one, understanding your power. Nah, it's not even understanding your power, because some of us understand that we're powerful. It comes with this first. I'm going to tell you this. Accepting the power that you have and ridding yourself of the fear of standing in it. When you accept that you have the answer, it's not even that you have the answers. When you accept that you are the answer, sis, beloved, you are the answer. When you accept that you are the answer to everything that may not be going perfect or well in your life, you now look at it differently. You can approach it differently. You don't approach it as, oh, I can't figure it out. Because when you tell yourself you're not in control, when you tell yourself you have no power, 9 times out of 10, you're telling your mind and your body to shut down as well, because there's nothing you can do. But when you say, I have the power, now you're putting yourself in a position of creativity. You're putting yourself in a position of choices. You're putting yourself in a position of where you can make decisions to alter, to get to where you want. So it's all about the way you talk with yourself, but that only happens when you become familiar with yourself. Become familiar and accept the power that you have. And then the next thing, rid yourself of the fear that comes with that power. Sometimes we don't want to stand in our power because we're so scared that we're going to make a mistake. We're so scared of the consequences of what people told us would come and be the production of it. It's so much bigger than that. Everything, we talked about it briefly yesterday, but everything, there's no mistakes. There's no failures. The only thing what counts as a failure is the way that the expectation that you put on yourself. And no one put that expectation on you but you. You chose to believe what people told you their definition of the success was. You chose to believe the definition of what people's, like, what you set as a guideline for what success for your event, success for your life, success for your business, your family. You chose those expectations. You chose to believe in them. I'm telling you now you can choose to create your own. Now you can choose to define yourself, define your own definitions of success, of family, of your business, of your life. Choose that for yourself. Because when it comes down to it, when you're all done, when you're all at the end of your life, when it's time for you to transition, we don't die, we transition. That's a whole different topic. When it's time for you to transition back to where you came from, there is no one that you will sit and say, I blame you for the way that my life looks. The only person you can say I blame is myself. And you can look at it. There are people that they talk about, people that work with gerontology, people that work with, literally seeing people working with them as they transition. They say the only thing people say is I wish. They don't say they should have listened to me, or you did this to me. They say I wish I would have done something differently. I wish, I regret this, I regret that. So that lets you know that when you're aging and about to transition, you finally start to step in and understand the power that you have. Why not understand that power right now in this moment? You have power. You are powerful. You are a creator. You can shape and shift whatever you want. But the thing is, what we're talking about, I'm going to highlight and then pull it back, right? We're talking about, where have you lost your joy? Sit with yourself. Sit with your, if anything today, Alicia, I did come up with a challenge. If anything today, sit with yourself. Sit with yourself and get familiar with it. What is it that you need to release? What is it that you need to step into? What is it that you need to release yourself from, so that you can get what you need, so that you can live the life that you want, so that you can stand in your power? What is it you need to release? Do you need to release that narrative that someone told you as a little girl that you don't have a voice? Do you need to release that narrative that told you you're a man, you don't cry? Do you need to release that narrative that you can't, that you're, for Black people, do you need to release that narrative that you're bound by slavery, that the system is against you? Do you need to, if you need to release that so that you can be and stand in your power, do it. Stop. You don't have to stay with it. That's the thing. Like, once you get in your head, and I promise you, this is, I'm passionate about this. I'm not yelling at y'all, but I'm not. And the thing is, I'm not even trying to convince you that you need to do this for yourself, because it's a choice. It's the fact that I can speak passionately on it because I'm making this choice for myself. This is how I'm choosing to live my life. But once you understand that everything is a choice, and that in this life you can make whatever choice you want, and there's so many choices about you and next to you and around you, you can literally start to stand on your own stuff. You can brag on your own stuff, sis. You can stand bold in your voice and your narrative that you're creating in the way that you choose to live your life. No one has to approve of it but you. When you finally get the audacity to say, I approve of me in all aspects. I approve of my hair. I approve of my narrative, my skin. I approve of the way I want to live my life. I approve of using my voice without the limitations of other people. Then you start to see everything else that happens. You're going to attract people that are like you. You're going to attract people that speak into you, that literally, that stand on the same stuff that you stand on. And when you get that attraction, you stand bright and powerful in ideas of, I am powerful. It is all in me. I have all that I need. I have the joy that I need. And then when you sit in that power, when you sit in that familiarity of yourself, it breeds joy. It produces joy. It magnifies it. Because then you're not running and searching for other things. You're not looking for a void of validation. You're not doing any of those things. You're literally magnifying all that is within you. So I'm gonna leave it at that. This is Jasmine Porter, and I am complete.
Thank you for that. Oh man, we're gonna definitely close out on that. But before we get into our closing, I want to thank and honor the amazing Deanna who is on the stage. She is the leader and owner of the Intentional Success Tribe. If you are not a part of the club, go ahead and click on the greenhouse. This is where we connect and collaborate with one another. So, Deanna, thank you for being here. Jasmine, I think that a lot of the I think some takeaways here as we begin to wind down and open up the floor. We are going to open up the floor. So if you are interested in adding some value, adding maybe even asking a question or whatever you would like to do, we're going to open up the stage for you to do that. But the takeaways that I want to really focus on is, number one, understanding that if you are not in joy, you are in a state of mourning, and that you should begin to concentrate on, where is that mourning coming from? And when we talk about mourning, we often talk about a death or something like that. But talking the mourning that we're speaking of, one could be a death, but is your spirit being fed, or is your mind, your body, or your not your body, but your will and your emotions being fed, right? So what have you been depriving yourself of? What have you been settling for? And have you truly been connecting with God? And then also another takeaway is you have the power to make your own decisions. And what I took from that part, Jasmine, was you were born with freedom. No matter what household you were born in, what generation you were born in, you were born with freedom to make your own choice. And your life today is a collection of the decisions that you have made. There have been things that have happened to you that you didn't have control over, but you were responsible for how you responded to it and how you grew from it, right? So taking responsibility and picking up your mantle and picking up your power, or operating in your power, and knowing and understanding that you have freedom in every part, in every area of your life. And the second thing is, I think, Jasmine, the question you asked was the question we asked actually is, what do we say? Where is your joy? Is that or where did you lose your joy? There we go. Where have you lost your joy? Okay. So with that being said, as you begin to like just focus on that, and a word I like to use, Jasmine like gets on me about this, but as you begin to digest joy this whole week, begin to digest the words that we've talked about, allow it to simmer in your mind, in your soul, in your body, allow it to just simmer. Oh, there was another thing I wanted to say as you was talking about viewing your surroundings, right? Not Dr. Les Brown talked about how you can have uh eyesight, but you also can have mind sight. So eyesight is the things that we see. It's what we see in our environment. It's what we experience like daily, right? But our mind sight is what we can see past. Like we see past what we are sitting in. Like we begin to envision and grow and just see where we want to be, right? So that's another thing that you guys can like sit on. But I'm gonna head over to Facebook as Jasmine begins to bring us, I want to call it the after party. As Jasmine begins to usher us into the after party of the clubhouse room, I'm going to go ahead and close down on Facebook. But before I go, I want to have you guys look at that link above where it says it's about who you are and whose you are. If you click on that link, what that link takes you to a sign up form to allow you to get the notifications that when we are going on. So if this message has been helpful to you, and any other message that we've had, if it has been helpful and has been transforming, go ahead and click that and sign up so that you can get notified. And later down the road, we're going to be adding more things onto this link to share and help you to dive deeper into being able to show up in your life as the boss, the queen, matriarch, the whatever you want to call yourself, whatever that powerful word is for you, to allow you to show up in your life as that. All right, so I'm going to head over to Facebook, and I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to Jasmine. All right. Thank you all on Facebook. Thank you for coming in. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay all the way through. If you're on Instagram, because the replay goes on Instagram, thank you so much for watching. This has been exciting. Again, we're going to be here tomorrow talking about joy. This topic has really been a blessing. It's allowing me to really go back and remember remember where I was and where I am today. And when I tell you I am so free today and so in love and enjoy today, it makes no sense, right? So that's where our goal is, to help you to get to that place. So thank you so much for listening in. Say hi to the people, Kaden.
Hi.
Now say bye to the people, Kaden. I will see you all tomorrow. We do this every morning, Monday through Friday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And so we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much. We will be talking about joy.